Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Typical Greek Stories. For today's episode, we'll be talking about the myth of Echo and Narcissus. As we all know that the story of Echo and Narcissus is one of the most famous in all of classical mythology. But really, what we're dealing with is a case of several different myths being put together.
This is the story of Echo and Narcissus. And a lot alike of things, Greek myth is important to understand that this is not a hero story and it is not a love story. Well, not really anyway. But it is one of the most well-known story in all of Greek mythology.
In English, we say Narcissus, but the proper Greek pronunciation is actually Narcissus.
Right, that brings up a good point. But before we start, let's talk about words.
So, a word is a single distinct meaning for element of speech or writing used to form a sentence. Etymology is the study of history of words.
Exactly. A lot of the words we use in English originally came from ancient Greek or Latin. For example, echo.
In modern times, an echo is sound is used to be repeated because the sound waves are reflected back. Sound waves, like your voice, can actually bounce off smooth, hard objects in the same way bounce off the ground. Many times, it bounces right back at the center, making it sound like someone is repeating on what was said. Exactly. And one of the things we've learned from this story is how the word echo came to be. So let's start there.
So, where did these stories came from? And how did Echo and Narcissus end up putting together as part of the same story?
Let's take them one at a time first.
And although the story of Echo and Narcissus strike us as quintessential Greek myth, the introduction of Echo into the tale of Narcissus appears to have been the invention of a Roman poet Ovid in his Metamorphoses.
Echo was a reed or mountain nymph whom Zeus liked to visit. For carnal relations, Hera, Zeus' wife, was suspicious of what her husband was up to with all these nymphs, and one day followed him to spy on him. Zeus ordered Echo to distract Hera by engaging her with a lengthy conversation, giving Zeus a chance to escape. Echo did this, but when Hera found out that she was protecting Zeus, she punished Echo by robbing her of all of his speech of her home. From now on, all Echo could do was repeat the words of theirs, hence her name.
Exactly. Echo loved Narcissus, but she obviously found it hard to tell Narcissus how she felt about him, because she already been cursed so that she could only repeat what others said, rather than speak for herself. According to Ovid, after she was shunned by Narcissus, she witnessed his demise after he saw his own reflection in the drowns. Distraught of seeing her beloved destroyed like this, Echo pinned away until eventually only her voice remained.
Then, what's the moral of the story of Narcissus? Obviously, Narcissus died because he was unwilling to give himself to others.
Note that it is not the same as saying that self-love in and of itself was his downfall. The ancient Greeks, the tragic flaw, if you will, that was the chink in a hero's armor, that they feel that would lead to his downfall. If we apply the concept of hamartia to Narcissus, then self-love was definitely not his flaw, because his crimes, the ones which made Nemesis decide to punish him, preceded his own knowledge of how beautiful he was.
Instead, Narcissus' crime was his indifference to others, rather than his love of his own beauty, which only came later and then only because Nemesis tricked him into seeing his own reflection. What this all means is that Narcissus' greatest flaw was not really narcissism at all, but self-absorption. That is, being preoccupied with oneself or one's own business to the exclusion of other people.
However, as this last example shows, we often employ this myth in a way which runs quiet, contrary to the moral message that the original myths impact.
Similarly, Narcissus, in another famous Greek myth, actually shunned another people before he fell in love with his own reflection. And yet, we still talk of someone who is obsessed with their own importance and appearance as being narcissistic.
And this point out an important fact about the Greek myth, which is that, like Ace of Fables, which date from a similar time and also have their roots in classical Greek culture, many of the stories evolved as moral fables or tales designed to warn Greek citizens of the dangers of hubris, greed, lust, or some other sin or characteristic. The messages they impart are therefore timeless and universal, and this helps to explain why, more than 2 millennia after they were first written down, they remain such an important influence on Western culture.
And that is the end of the story of Narcissus and
Echo.